project that I'm going to be presenting tonight is a sales dashboard. Everybody knows sales runs the world, and here's my story. Jake's manager told Jake, you need to be so focused that if you were driving 80 miles per hour with the window down, all you should hear is your heartbeat. It was at this moment Jake knew wait a minute. How did we get here? Let's rewind 48 hours. Let's meet Jake. Jake is a recent graduate from Colaberry. He's now working as a consultant at a mid-sized data consulting firm. And there's one more thing that you should know about Jake. Jake represents you in this story. That's right. Everyone on this call attending Colaberry, Jake is you. So go ahead and climb in your chair and assume the position. Jake's now a data analyst and has been working at his consulting firm about 3 weeks. Things were going well. He had a couple of deliverables, and his manager seemed to be impressed with his work. Jake was so stoked about his new job. Before Colaberry, he was a teacher, and with this new job, he almost doubled his income. Jake was focused, but couldn't help but daydream about his paycheck and all the things he would purchase with his newfound surplus of money. While Jake was daydreaming about a generational wealth, out of nowhere, his boss pops up behind him. Jake, we need to talk. Meet me in my office. Jake didn't know what to think. A few things crossed his mind. Did I do something wrong? Did I mess up? Did he find my Colaberry transcripts? Jake's manager informed him that due to growing interest rates, they lost a few customers that affected the budget. He said Jake's position was more than likely going to be eliminated in 2 weeks. There was, however, one scenario that could save his job. There is a huge global vendor that just sent a project request to us and 4 other consulting companies. We have 48 hours to tell them where they should invest their marketing dollars and why. The company with the best strategy gets the contract, and it's massive enough and more than enough for Jake to keep his job. Jake's manager put him as the lead on the project and forwarded him the data set. With only 48 hours and Power BI being Jake's expertise, he felt his best way to tell the story of the data was to first create a dashboard. That's exactly what he did. He focused on the KPIs and analyzing them in different dimensions, such as time dimension, using month, quarter, and year, category and subcategory, segment and market, and of course, location. Now, I need everyone on the call to pay close attention as I explain how this dashboard is read. We will need help. We will need your help in analyzing the data and finding the insights. Let's focus on the top left chart. Here we see sales per month by month. All right, so this bar matches to the left axis. So here you can see January has close to 500,000 sales per month. So who can tell me what the 2 lowest selling months are? Somebody take yourself off of mute and tell me the 2 lowest selling months.
February and April.
February and April. Absolutely. Now who can tell me what the 2 highest selling months are?
November and December.
Now, let's move on to sales year over year. What is sales year over year? Now here we have an example of, we're just filtering by September of 2014 and September of 2013, okay? September 2013 came first. Sales were 258,000 that month. And the next year, September 2014, sales rose to 328,000. Year over year calculation says new amount, which is September 2014, 328K, minus the 258K divided by 258K times 100 gives us a sales year over year of about 27% for September. And here you can see where the lines are plotted on the right axis. So you can see that's about 27%. Okay, so that's how year over year is calculated for 1 year, but let's look how it's calculated for multiple years. So here I have 2011 all the way through 2014. So in 2011, sales for September was 213, and then it went down to 192K. That was a negative 10% increase. And that's why you see year over year for September 2012 at a negative 10%, because it went from 213 to 192. Then it went from 192K to 258K, which was an increase of 34%. And then it went from 258K to 328K, which was about a 27% increase. If you are looking at multiple years of your year over year, you're going to average the year over years. And from 2011 to 2014, the overall year over year increase was 12% per year. So what that means is sales increased 12% per year in September. Okay. So now we want to zoom back in, or let's look at categories and subcategories. The same rules apply, okay? The bar is matched with the left axis. The lines relate to the right axis. So let's go up a level and let's look at, we already know, we can see technology brought in between 250 and 300K, okay? We already know that. We know year over year was lease and furniture, but now let's look at our other two KPIs. We have gross profit margin. Gross profit margin is what percentage is profit, okay? So here you can see for technology, gross profit margin, if we look at the right axis, was about 15%. So that means for every $100 we spent, we get about 15% $15 as profit. Look at furniture. Furniture has a much lower gross profit margin. That means we aren't making as much on furniture. It's down to about 7%, 6%, okay? So every $100 we spend on furniture, we're only making $6, okay? And then you can see office supplies is around 15%. Then we look at discount. Discount is important because how much are we giving away? Of course, we give discounts to incentivize sales, okay? But you can't give away too much discount. As we can see with furniture, it's giving away the highest discount up towards 15%. But look at the gross profit margin is the lowest at 7%. Could it be that we are giving away too many discounts? So now it's time to analyze multiple dimensions. All right, so let's take a step back. Now, usually when we think about multiple dimensions, we think about some type of sci-fi movie where people are entering a different world, like Stranger Things on Netflix. But actually in data, a dimension is simply a collection of reference information about a measurable event. We are measuring these sales events throughout the KPIs or the key performance indicators. The dimensions are attributes that describe what's happening. Now, if we take a closer look at the category subcategory table and we look at copier, okay? We're looking at copiers right now. Just by what we know so far, we can tell that copiers bring in roughly about 85K a month, okay? If we look at where the lines are, remember the lines relate to the right axis. If we can look at this, we can see that gross profit margin and sales year over year are right around 20%. Our discount that we're giving on copiers is roughly around 18%. We can see that just by looking at the bar and the lines. Now, when we click on that, we now make a selection in the data, and all of those KPIs that we saw are now our main KPIs because copiers are selected. So here we have, I told you it was around 85K a month. Gross profit margin and sales were around 20, okay, and discount around 11%. We can look across the different dimensions, right? So when I click on copiers and copiers is now selected, I can look on here and see what is my highest selling month for October, or I'm sorry, for copiers. You can see that it's October because the bar is higher. Okay, so copiers is selected. October's is the highest bar. The lowest selling month, as you can see, is February. Now, let's take a look at our year over year. Somebody tell me what the highest year over year month is for copiers.
March.
March, exactly. And somebody tell me what the lowest is.
May.
May, absolutely. So now you can see that sales year over year is kind of fluctuating, but you can see that gross profit margin is not really moving. It's like a flat line. Discount is like a flat line. So what does that mean? That means that this dimension doesn't have effect on these KPIs. That means discount is not affected by which month the discount is given, because they probably give the same discounts all year round. And the gross profit margin is not affected by the month either, because they give the same, they make the same margins each month. Now, if I move down to my segment dimension, I can see that consumer segment has more sales, okay, by the bar, okay? Consumer sales has more sales, but the highest trending year over year, home office is moving up, okay? Our year over year is over 30%. So that means that while consumer has the highest sales, home office has the highest acceleration. Now let's look at market. We can see that Asian Pacific market has the highest sales. Now, who can tell me who is accelerating, which market is accelerating more in terms of year over year?
Please say that again.
US.
US.
The US, exactly. Because we want to do better than, and look, we looked at what was the worst. We can look at what was the worst month for year over year, and we can look at what was the best month for year over year. You can see that December was the worst month. 2012, 336, it went down to 277, and then you have 241. And in January, you can see that, boom, it had a big increase of almost 90%, 34 and 33. And here's the totals. All right, so now we are going to look at what insight we need to get to clients for them to make the best decision. All right, so now, number one, I want to look at year over year. We already understand as a movement. Are we accelerating or are we declining? A company's job is to accelerate. They want all their products to consistently sell more, okay? And that's our year over year. So if we're trying to find areas of improvement, we want to find out where the year over year is the lowest, okay? And then if we can find where it's the lowest, then we can analyze that data and figure out how we can get that year over year up. Our first one that we want to analyze is the US, because we can see our sales year over year is the lowest in the US in terms of market. So we're going to go ahead and select that. Now, when we look at our US segment, when we look at our months, we want to see what are the lowest months. Okay, the lowest months means the greatest area of improvement. So we can see December is low in months. We can see March is low in months. September is low. Okay, let's move over to our products. Okay, we can see machines. We can see bookcases is low. If we look over to our segment, we can see consumer is low. So these are our greatest areas for improvement when looking at the US segment. So now the question is, where do we allocate the marketing dollars? So we have to ask ourselves three questions. What is the business objective? Where can our marketing dollars have the biggest effect? And which dimensions have the biggest opportunities to improve? So now, back to, we just spoke about our US market. So US market is actually 26% of total sales. Year over year is 10.2, okay? What we've done here is we've gone through, if you can look at, we have it filtered by US, and we look at the months and we see what are the greatest opportunities of improvement, okay? We have March, we have April, and then we have December, which are all the lowest ones, okay? The first number is what percentage of total sales is this? And then what is the year over year? Okay, in March, US market only has a year over year of 2.82. The average is around 13%. So with the 2.82, we have an ability to raise more, okay? The top segment, consumer, 13% of sales, yet we only have a 5% year over year. So when you're asking, where do we spend our marketing dollars? One is the US market, and not only US market, because that's so broad, but in the US market, specifically on these months, specifically on this segment, specifically on these products. That's where you're gonna get your biggest change. Let's keep it moving. Let's look at our time dimension. Somebody tell me what the two lowest year over years are, the two lowest months for year over year. Somebody tell me.
May and June.
May and June. So if we select May and June, so when we select May and June, and then we analyze it across markets, we have May and June selected. we can see that copiers, phones, and machines have the greatest room for improvement in terms of year-over-year sales. The company's objective is to have all of their products moving in the right direction. That means high year-over-year. So our greatest chance of improving in May and June is with these three products. And then here you see them over to the right. What percentage of total sales are they? And what's their current year-over-year value? We look at our segment and we see consumer segment has the biggest area to improve. We look at market and we see Asian Pacific has the greatest area to improve. Now we move over to our last and final insight, which is our product tables. So we click on tables right here. And the reason I clicked on tables is because you can see the year-over-year is very low for this product. It's the lowest of all of the products. But when I click on it, I can see that, oh, January, February, low months. Consumer segment, low months. US, tables don't do as well. All right, January, February, actually corporate, and then Asian Pacific. You can see those have the lowest ones. Those are the greatest areas for improvement. And so while tables only make up 6.1% of sales, they have a low year-over-year at 5.9%. And if we were going to target advertisements for products, then we would want to focus on June, August, and December. If we wanted to focus on tables and we're looking across segments, we would want to focus on corporate and top market Asian Pacific. Jake's boss came to him and said, you know how big this moment is, and I think you were very prepared, but you need to be so focused that if you were driving 80 miles per hour with the window down, all you should hear is your heartbeat. It was at that moment Jake knew he was indeed ready for the moment. Jake ended up nailing the presentation. The company got the contract. Jake kept his job, and he was promoted after 6 months. Everybody take your cells off of mute and give me a whoop, whoop.
Woo!